when you start to think about the arts, you can't have a conversation in any genre of artistry and not center Black women. Like Black women being at the forefront of drag artistry, Black women being at the forefront of gospel music.
I'm still like coming down. Like my first day, 9 a.m., I walk into a room and I literally have seen like almost 200 to 300 Black women. Whether you were trans, whether you were cisgender, like I have never stepped foot in a room where I seen so much melanin at one time that it like really like I cried like because this is crazy.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of Keep on Loving the Podcast. Ahmea.
I know who I am.
You know who you
I
are?
am Ahmea Pacheco Branch.
And I'm Javontae Williams.
Hi.
So it's been a long while since we've been able to talk. We've got new people behind the camera.
Hello.
We've
upgraded.
We've got a new environment to film in. We've got a logo behind us. Like so much stuff has happened.
Yeah, Philly, keep on loving.
Philly, keep on loving the podcast. So a lot of people like to pass time by marking the seasons. And I feel like, you know, some people, for our dedicated two fans, Dr. Brady and my mama.
Oh, don't forget my homegirl Yolanda in Harrisburg. She is
okay. Our three fans, my mama, Dr. Brady, and Yolanda. Hey, shout out to Yolanda. They may not have known that we haven't been as consistent as possible. We'll talk about that in a different episode. But a lot has gone down. So what'd you do for the spring?
Oh my God. Worked. Vacation worked.
Okay. I'm not interested in any other work. What's the vacation? Where'd you go?
I think I did a staycation. Like I was supposed to go like somewhere. I was supposed to go to Atlantic City for my birthday, but I did a staycation and I just hung out with family and stuff. So that was Memorial Day. And then I did a lot of cool stuff though. I went to Broccoli Fest this year.
Where?
Broccoli Fest.
Broccoli Fest.
Yes, it's in DC.
What is Broccoli Fest?
Broccoli Fest is like another like music festival, but it's DC's version of a music festival.
Interesting. Do you go to music festivals in Philly?
I have. I did the Roots Picnic a couple years in a row. I didn't do it this year. I definitely opted for Broccoli. I was really upset that we did not have Made in America this year.
Yeah.
Oh.
So how was your summer? Because I didn't do nothing for spring. All I do is work. How was your summer?
I think I just ran my. You know what? Let's backtrack. I gave you my summer. My spring, I did a lot of work in DC with oh my God, hold on.
The peoples that paid you.
The peoples that paid me that I should know. I did a lot of work with oh my God. Listen, I'm working a lot. I did work with the Human Rights Campaign. So I was part of their cohort, their TG&C cohort. So that was really cool.
Oh, cool. So for those of you who don't know, I am in a PhD program. So all I do is work.
I just found that out today.
Well, pay attention.
I am.
Dr. Williams loading. So I do nothing. I live my life vicariously through you.
Do you?
At the end of the summer, and as we wind down on the Beyonce tour, right? One way to mark the end of the summer.
I did go to Beyonce's ball. I do. Like, let's not forget that I went to Beyonce's ball in Vegas.
You went to Beyonce's ball in Vegas.
16 hours in Vegas. Never been to Vegas. Was only in Vegas for 16 hours. But it was worth it.
So a lot of people mark the end of the summer by Labor Day. But in our, I don't want to say industry, because it's not really an industry, but in the public health field that we work in, we mark the end of the summer by the United States Conference on HIV and AIDS.
My first year.
So can we just take this episode to talk about USCHA? Because I think there's a lot to unpack. Like so much happened. This was, I believe, the first conference back on what do we call it? The contiguous United States, like because we were in Puerto Rico last year.
Y'all were in Puerto Rico last year. I was watching.
We were in
Snapchat
Puerto
and Facebook.
But so many people came. It was like a family reunion. So let's start at the top and let's go back to like, where was it?
It was in Washington, D.C., where, like, first of all, let's just say I manifested that I would be in D.C. all year, and literally all year.
Broccoli Fest.
Broccoli Fest. We have the cohort. We have going back down, and then we have USCHA. I went early.
Yeah.
So I was at pre-conference.
We were in D.C. You got there a day before me.
Yes.
You were doing the pre-conference activities.
Yes.
What was that like?
So I did the red ribbon monologues. What was really cool is this year's theme for USCHA
Yes.
was a love letter to Black women.
A love letter to Black women, which I absolutely adored.
And being so, I will say that being on the stage and then also being surrounded by I think I'm still like coming down. Like my first day, 9 a.m., I walk into a room and I literally have seen like almost 200 to 300 Black women. Whether you were trans, whether you were cisgender, like it was just a room full of Black women. All different. It was just, I was taken back. I have never stepped foot in a room where I seen so much melanin at one time that it like really like, I cried. Like, because this is crazy.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, the United States Conference on HIV and AIDS is actually sponsored and put on by NMAC, formerly the National Minority AIDS Council. And so Black and Brown is a theme that runs through the organization and through the conferences. And you see that reflected in who supports, who attends.
Absolutely.
And the themes and the content and the presentations. Shirley Ralph, who also spoke at the plenary on, I believe she was on the second day.
She was. And I missed it.
And she said, no matter how that woman came to be, right? And so there's this like conversation on social media that's really loud for no reason. And a lot of people are saying things. But on the ground, what you see is this culture of inclusivity, right, for cis and trans women together. And so that was really unique and special to me.
Absolutely.
Not identifying as a woman, but also seeing like this sisterhood being shared.
I seen, like, I'm going to cry. See, you're going to make me cry, and
I want you to
vowed not to cry on camera.
I want you to cry.
refuse
I want
to
you to
be
cry.
one of those girls who just cry on camera. But to see so many Black women who do not care about what anyone has to say, but to make sure that they are doing what they need to do for the community, especially as a trans Black woman. Like, I'm walking down the hall and I'm like, doo 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 doo.
What were you like?
Doo 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 doo.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had that.
You know, this is one of my fits from the conference. Just one. I ran into Dominique Morgan and I tinkled on myself a little bit because I'm like, this is Dominique. And like, when you follow them on social media, it's like, okay, like how do I? And I was like, hey, Dominique, I follow you.
Yeah.
And she happens to know some of my close people. So when I I love to name drop.
Is it the same close people that I know?
Absolutely.
So those close people came up to my table, and Dominique was with close people, and I had a similar moment. I was very much a fanboy. Shout out to Dominique.
I ran into Sior Thomas. That was my second time seeing Sior.
Some people at home are like, who are these people?
Look them up, honey. Look them up. Look them up. I ran into so many people that I did not think. Like, I would just be walking and be like, okay? And they would talk back, and they would like
Yeah.
follow me back on social media, or would have like real grown woman conversations with me. And I just felt like I had graduated from the kids table to the adult table when I'm like sitting at a table full of like prominent trans women, and they're talking about advocacy.
Yeah.
And they asked me what I thought. Like, little girl from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Like, what do I think about this? And just to be in that was really crazy.
And it's not to be overstated that they're prominent because they're doing stuff in the
they
field,
are walking,
right? Like they are making serious change and advocating for policy and having seats at some of the most important tables, right, where the conversation is really being developed. And so I completely share, like, to see these people in person, it is like, oh my God, there's Michael Jackson, or oh my God, Beyonce is at this conference.
I seen oh my gosh, it literally just slipped my mind of who else I seen. But what I will say is that the respect of the gay and cisgender men that were there, I was worried. I was like, okay, how's this going? Because as many women as I seen, I could account that to another black male or a Hispanic male. And I was like, how is this going to work?
Yeah.
But the respect level in the room, like if the conference said it was specifically for women of color, I could look around the room and not see any men at all, and then turn around and see a man, and it's only because he's carrying a chair to help someone else out, and then he's back out the room.
Yeah.
Like, to be able to respect space like that, like, that was so awesome.
Yeah.
Gilead with the champions, the women champions were to be able to. Tori Cooper, you know, I have to talk Tori Cooper up, because like that is literally how I have made it through 2023. But to be able to do something with Tori, just 2 minutes, was supposed to be 2 minutes, was totally more, because she allows opportunities when she sees them. To go upstairs and get ready for like registration, and they're like, oh, take this Gilead tour, and like you walk through, and the last person I see is a big huge picture of Tori, and like I start bawling. I'm like, is this what it's going to be? That's my Shiro. So like to see the women that, like, to go back to like to see the women that like I admire so much being acknowledged and making room, like, it's really, really, really crazy. I'm mad. I miss Maddie. Super mad. I miss Maddie. Like, every good
T.S.
person.
Madison.
Yes. That's my good sis, so I call her Maddie. Who else was there? I heard Amanda Seales was there. I missed Amanda Seales.
So before people think that it was just one, like, person after that, it's like, well, did y'all go on any sessions? Yes. We did go to sessions. Thank you very much
and
for
the
asking.
reason why I missed them is because when I would leave my sessions, I would either go, like when Shirley Ralph was talking, I didn't even know she was going to be at the planetarium. I just was hungry and did not want conference food.
Yeah.
Like, I just was like, let's go get something to eat. And halfway down the street in my left, someone calls me and was like, girl, where you at? Shirley Ralph is on the stage. And I'm like, what?
She was phenomenal. So let's talk about a little bit more on that plenary, because that plenary, I think, was one of the most impactful moments.
I also heard Yolanda Adams was at that plenary.
Yes.
Also.
So since you weren't there, I'll
Let
lay
me
it
know,
out for
please.
you. So we enter the room, and for those of y'all who don't attend conference, the plenary is like the larger midday session where nothing else is going on. Everyone enters the ballroom and they serve lunch, right?
No one told me that's how it works. I thought I had to go find my own lunch.
Stick with me, you'll learn. And so since there's free food, it's included with your registration. Everybody shows up to the plenary. There must have been at least 2,000 people in that room. Easily. It was like people were sitting on top of each other. That's another conversation for the end of this conversation. But they had the plenary, they served the lunch, and then they opened with these stories of various Black women from different backgrounds, and they were talking all kinds of like experiences woven into this monologue, and it was acted out by these actors. That's real articulate. Acted out by the actors.
And you got it twice. Very kudos to you.
I'm using my big boy words. So, and then when they moved from that, they had like a dance presentation that took you from Africa through the Middle Passage, through the early days
I'm really upset I
of
missed
slavery. And there were no words. It was all dance. But you clearly were able to identify through the costumes and the background what you were seeing. And it was very powerful. And then after that, they had Morgan State University's
Oh, I
gospel
seen
choir.
it, baby. They were marching in those robes. I was like, where are all these church folk coming from in these robes?
We love a good march.
On my way to lunch.
And then they had the gospel choir perform with a couple of soloists, and I'm trying to remember the order and the sequence of things. And then Shirley Ralph came out.
So when did Yolanda come out? Because I heard she
Yolanda came out at the end. Yolanda Adams performed at the end. And by that time, I was trying to make it to the next session because they were running over because Sister Cheryl had a lot to get off her chest. So by the time they got to Yolanda, I was already out. But you could hear the voice.
So the gripe that I heard with that, so I heard they did, what song did the choir do?
I Got the Victory, I think it is.
That's what song Yolanda did.
Yes.
But they said...
Total Praise.
Total Praise.
Total
So somebody
Praise.
was like, Yolanda should have
Richard
totally,
Small.
did The Battle's Not Yours. And I was like, I don't know. That's too slow. Like, we do need to pick a rapper.
But I love the what is the word? I love like the layers and complexities to our experiences because they did Total Praise right after a drag performance. Because we are all.
Because
right?
Sunday is church.
We are all. And so it was really a moment to reflect and say, you know what? Our experience is all of this.
all coincide with
particularly
each
as
other.
Black women, right? Like Black women being at the forefront of drag artistry, Black women being at the forefront of gospel music. Like when you start to think about the arts, you can't have a conversation in any genre of artistry and not center Black women.
And it was just so beautiful to see that center.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I also went to a session on Henrietta Lacks, which was crazy. Shout out to Marvell. It was crazy crowded because people are so hungry. Another Black woman who influenced science. If you don't know who Henrietta Lacks is, you should look her up. I just, there were so many good takeaways. And for me, the people part was one of the best aspects. It was like a family reunion.
So you did larger ones. I did smaller rooms. I actually did I did an institute. So
You facilitated an institute.
I definitely facilitated an institute. So that makes me a national conference presenter, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Adds to resume. To be able to... So anytime I do something, I do it for 101,000. So it doesn't matter who's in the room. I'm going to give you the presentation the way the presentation is supposed to be given. But there were some hiccups within NMAC. And specifically because I got on board with their community advisory panel so late that by the time I got there, they'd be like, hey, can you do this? So I didn't get a huge turnout. But I do know that the women that were there said they were very touched. So the presentation was called Rise to Power, Trans Femme Taking Up Space. And the whole presentation was based around Solange's 2016 A Seat at the Table.
One of my favorite albums of all time.
I will say that this is a very unique conference, and because it was so many institutes going on, 8 a.m. Like people are. I didn't think anybody was going to be up at 8 a.m. But people
were not
up.
Many were not,
And
but
moving
a lot
by
are.
by the end of because mine was from 9 to, or was it 8? It was from 8 to 11.
Depending on how late your networking goes.
It was the second day. It was mine was Wednesday, so mine was really when people were getting in there. So people didn't start to network yet. I also went to a ballroom because I'm always trying to keep up with ballroom and what's going on in like other states. So I went to that one. That was really, really good. I will say that though I enjoyed the workshops that I was at, I enjoyed the work outside of the workshops.
Yeah.
Like and so someone told me like this, by the time I go next year, like I will really be more indulged in like diving in. But there were so many people giving out so much information outside of the rooms.
Yeah.
Or like you would just, I'd be like, oh, okay. Like I'm stuck right here right now. Like I'm stuck. Like this is amazing. What was your absolute favorite part? Mine was Thursday night, but we can I digress.
We're already at like 20 minutes and we have so much to unpack for this conference. I think I have, like I said, my favorite part was the people interaction.
Absolutely.
And so there was a moment, the conference hotel was at the Marriott Marquis. And so
Fab.
It is the largest hotel in DC.
Fab.
And there's a bar in the center of it, right? Bar restaurant.
Fab.
And that's where people.
Food, though.
You what?
I didn't care for the food.
Well, that's a personal opinion.
I know.
I was there for the conversation and the drinks.
Absolutely.
And so sitting down and seeing, like teams of people from various industries and various segments of our movements conversing. And like I ran into so many people at the bar. There was a day when from about 3 p.m. to maybe 7 p.m. I sat there not drinking only, but having good conversations, having wonderful conversations. Like there was a couple that I worked on an intervention we're going to bring back to Philly to talk about HIV with professors in university. Like there was another person, you know who you are, who I talked to in Mississippi and advised them on some things that they're doing within the FQHC, which is a federally qualified health center. Like just strategizing, planning the takeover from the bar was one of my favorite parts.
And again, I sat at the same bar and was just like a child and was waiting for my name to be called to ask what I thought because I did not want to interrupt anything. It was just like,
yeah.
And then when you combine yourself with so many like go-getters, every time you think you got something, somebody be like, and I'd like to introduce you to Ahmea. And I'm like, oh, we're about to go into a whole nother. That bar area was some of the best. And then like being outside, first of all, it was so hot.
It was hot. It was a heat wave.
So every time I've been in DC, it's been raining. So,
yeah.
Good God.
I know what you were going to say for Thursday night.
Baby.
What will be colloquially known as the Black People Party.
Us helping us grow.
Dr. DeMarc Hickson.
And shout out to John A. Tyler, who was the coordinator for that.
Yes.
That Black Party was a mixer for, like, again, I have not, this is why I love DC. And I also love Philadelphia. It's just so much melanin. And to see, what I love to see is professionals hang up their professional hat and like see them other than like, oh, you're a pharmaceutical rep. Oh, you're a director. And be able to just see so many people like chill and relax and just be able to do business on a whole nother level. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, there's different ways to parking lot pimp. And, like, that was one of my favorite. Like, that was
And
such a good
we
night.
should be clear that the official title of the party was called For the Culture, right? And
500 tickets given away.
yeah. And
Within 20 minutes, sold out. And then they did a whole nother round, sold out. Like,
And that party was really a collaboration amongst several organizations who all serve minority audiences. So while we're calling it the Black People Party, there was people from all racial backgrounds, and Tank performed, R&B superstar Tank, which you missed because you left. I knew you weren't there. You left. So
I told you I had a good time. It was open bar. Also, so us helping us had a event on Saturday, and they were at King's Dominion.
yes.
And they had their pride party. You know, I miss so many celebrities. Ashanti performed and Anaya performed. Totally missed them.
Yeah.
But that was so cool. I have never been to an amusement park after dark. Like, so when they're saying, hey, everybody has to go home.
And to be a safe environment.
To be a safe environment. I faced my fear of a roller coaster. Sort of, kind of. A little bit. And I chilled. Like, I gave myself time to relax and reflect.
And I think, you know, like, what this week experience told me was that we need this in our movement. Like, if we're going to end anything relating to the HIV epidemic, we need connection and information.
Absolutely. Especially talking to the people down south.
Yes.
Like, to be able to talk to a lot of people who are doing the same work we do, but are in the southern states who are trans and I have to do trans fight. And I'm just like, the whole time I'm like, yo, sis, like, what is the fight look like on the ground for you there? And to, like, hear some of the stories and see some of the resilience of just like, I'm here, like, what they're going to do, and or these are the strategies that we've come up with now. We have such a, especially being within like Philadelphia and up here in the northern,
It really is
like,
a bubble.
We think that like we have it where they have it bad right now, and to just hear how resilient and how they, as African American, we always going to figure out if you're not going to let us through, how we're going to get behind.
Yeah.
So just hearing their strategies really made me want to come home and do so much more. I've been thinking for like the last couple months, like, I'm not doing enough. And I know I'm doing enough. But USCHA...
You're probably doing too much.
USCHA has literally told me what I'm not doing enough of. It literally taught me, like, when I'm hearing certain statistics being tossed out, when I'm hearing certain things being tossed out, like, I used to be really up on medications, what were in the medications, studies and stuff like that. So to hear new studies and new medications being like out there and I wasn't up on it, I'm back at my desk like, okay, let's get into it.
So also at the bar was Dr. Tracy Gilbert, and she's actually from Philly and going to be a guest on the podcast. So I would love to hear what she thought, because her expertise is in Black sexuality, particularly Black women's sexuality and how they feel sexy. So I cannot wait to have her on the podcast. So I think we will be able to revisit our USCHA conversation, but for now...
All right, let me ask you this last question, and then we're done. I'm going to be done.
You're always dragging out my wrap-up.
I know. I just want to know, like, what is... Oh, my God. Did I lose my headphone? I did. I can't hear myself, but it's okay.
Okay.
What was your one takeaway?
My one takeaway was it doesn't have to be a food fight. Meaning we can center everyone's experience. We need to push those at the margins to the center and fast. And just having an entire conference be planned around a love letter to Black women, particularly in the context of talking about HIV, when there's so much so much like emphasis on Black gay men or gay men in general. Black women are a part of that conversation as well. In the words of Shirley Ralph, no matter how that woman came to be, right? And so I think that would be my one takeaway. It doesn't have to be a food fight.
My one takeaway has to be for myself, which is
because you're covering up the mic. He's gonna be trying to edit and be like, "What was she saying?"
Oh, my one takeaway has to be, you've done enough. Like, I have nothing else to prove. Everything that I've wanted to do and everything I wanted to do at USCHA literally was able to come about. So, like, for me, I don't feel like I have anything to prove. And now I feel like I have more work to do.
Can I offer a compassionate reframe?
Absolutely.
I know this is your one takeaway, but you said you've done enough, and I would add you are enough.
Ha! Thank you. I need that.
You are enough.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter what you do, how much more you do, how much less you do. You are enough. Just your very being is enough.
You know what? They say that great things repeat itself, and someone literally just told me if I don't do anything else anymore, I am enough. So the fact that you just literally reiterated that within 48 hours literally just lets me like confirm. Thank you so much. I take that.
Enough. All right.
Okay. Well,
that's all the time we have for this discussion.
I am.
You don't have to block me out. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to let them know. I am Ahmea Pacheco Branch.
I am Javontae Lee Williams. And no matter how you love, keep on loving.